Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I am your host, Josh, and with me is my two co-hosts
It's your boy Nick.
and Dusk is back with us again. Dusk, you were with us last week, right?
I was.
Yeah, you were with us last week discussing some what if, doing some stuff like that. So hey, it's good to have you back, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back.
And today we got a nice show just full of movie reviews. Got one also TV show discussion as well, where we're discussing the Eyes of Tammy Faye, Jessica Chastain movie. So doing a little bit of catch up because we weren't able to do a show last week. We're going to be also doing Cry Macho, which is the Clint Eastwood film. We're also going to be discussing the newest episode. Actually, we'll discuss both the episode that we missed and the episode that just passed of What If, the episode with Killmonger, and the episode with Thor. We're going to be discussing those two What If episodes. And Dear Evan Hansen, we're going to be discussing that, the musical turned into movie. Also, we're going to discuss some Copshop with Gerard Butler and Frank Grillo. So we're going to be discussing that as well, directed by Joe Cornahan. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's just been a busy last couple weeks at work, and my birthday coming up. Me and my girl are like trying to make plans for that.
Okay. Dusk, what about you?
Same old, same old.
Same old, same old. For me, been trying to get my license. I've been trying to get a driver's license for for a long time now. I've always been saying I've been meaning to get it.
You have, even from the beginning of the show.
Yeah, so I finally got a permit now. I took the test, did the whole permit, did that, and it was a lot easier. Everybody was telling me, you know what I mean. Hey, it's super easy. Don't worry about it, and it was. I went in there and. It was really easy. So, a lot of it's just common sense stuff. I mean, they just literally almost can give a license to just anybody. I mean, pretty much because it was just like, yeah, it was super easy. But as soon as I got my permit, ended up in a car accident. You know what I mean? Pretty much. Ended up in a car accident there. And I wasn't driving, but yeah. But at least I got my first car accident under my belt, so there's that.
You got it out of the way, and
Yeah.
it
You got
wasn't
it.
yours.
It wasn't your car. You got it out of the way. Thankfully, no one's hurt.
Yeah, no one's
I
hurt.
think, right?
No one got hurt. Got smacked around a little bit.
Okay.
Got a little, kind of had a little bit of a headache. Still got a little bit of a headache. Got a little bit of whiplash going on, like stiffness, neck, kind of shoulder. It was nobody, still alive. Wore a seatbelt. You know what I mean? So everything like that. So yeah, it was all good. You know what I mean? So nobody was seriously hurt. The guy that ran into us, he's not seriously hurt. At least I don't think so. Never know. Could pull out with some, neck brace, you know what I mean? Show up like an episode of Martin, you know what I mean? When he went to court, neck brace and cast on the legs and all this other shit. So you never really know. So, but as of now, yeah, everything's kind of good. But it was kind of crazy. It was, the whole front of the car just completely got pushed in. And, it was like it didn't really, because it didn't feel like we were going all that fast, and didn't feel like, but it was just like he was kind of coming at us, and then we were kind of just there, and then it just knocked us all the way back into these other parked cars that were on the street. So it was pretty wild. It was like, whoa. Luckily, like I said, nobody's hurt, nobody's seriously hurt. So yeah, at least we're still alive. Got insurance, which is a good thing, so that pays for all the damage, all things like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank for that. All right, so moving on from discussing that, we're going to be going into The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Now, this is a biographical film about Tammy Faye, as well as the relationship she had with Jim Baker. They were married. This is directed by Michael Showalter. They also did a documentary about this, which is titled the same, which is of the same name, which is I think it was an HBO documentary. Called The Eyes of Tammy Faye as well. And here, Tammy Faye Baker is played by Jessica Chastain. Jim Baker is played by Andrew Garfield. They were televangelists that were on TV. It was a huge thing back in the the 90s, 80s. They were these prominent figures. They had their own network called the PTL network, which stood for Praise the Lord, which had like over 20 million people, who would tune in to their network, and they would donate money and everything like that, and they became these kind of huge figures in the religious community because of that. And the movie kind of takes you through their whole life, particularly, it being titled The Eyes of Tammy Faye, particularly through mostly Jessica Chastain as Tammy Faye, through kind of, what she kind of was experiencing, maybe, mainly her POV. It takes us at first when they're kids in college, all the way up until, until like their adulthood. One thing about this movie is it's kind of very shallow in terms of, it's kind of storytelling, because it kind of speeds through so many different events, in the movie. It speeds through, kind of them getting pregnant, them having a kid. All of a sudden, she pops up with a kid that's about 8 or 10 years old. Then all of a sudden, she's pregnant again, and they have another kid, and that's a little bit more shown in the movie. Her having the other kid, the second child with Jim Baker. And they were kind of, and Jessica Chastain's performance really is the thing that really sells this movie for the most part. Her and Andrew Garfield, I think they do a really good job in the film, and they're the ones that really are selling this mostly, and everything else is kind of just fair. It's just kind of okay throughout the whole kind of thing. And you see, as a person like Tammy Faye, you don't really get to know much of them as kind of people. I don't think it's like, Jim Baker. If you know what happened, true story. I guess I don't want to spoil that if you don't know what happened and everything with them.
He's a televangelist. Of course, he's a piece of shit.
But it doesn't really elaborate. Like was he just kind of always like that? Was he always a greedy piece of shit, or was he somebody that just developed into it?
See Exhibit A, televangelist.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No. Be a little bit more fair than that. You gotta give people chances.
Yeah.
See how they are.
Yeah, and then Tammy Faye, she's kind of portrayed as, somebody who might not have known fully what was going on with him, and somebody that just kind of like, because she actually, it seems like she actually does just preaches. She actually does live the life she preaches about to a degree, where she's like, hey, the Bible and everything like that says, hey, just love everybody, treat everybody with respect. That's kind of how I apply it, even to, gay people, because, she was a huge person who was an advocate for LGBT people at the time. Especially, this was a, rough time too, because, this was throughout the 80s that they show, during the whole AIDS epidemic.
Oh.
And, she was kind of a person who was, hey, they're human beings too, and they need love, and they need, everything like that. And, it's not right to treat people, less than human, and to treat these people as this.
Hey, that doesn't fit my very narrow Christian views of my whacked out interpretation of the Bible.
Yeah, and that's basically Vincent D'Onofrio in this movie, because Vincent D'Onofrio, let me see, I forgot what the name of his character. Let me try to look it up real quick. But he plays a guy that is all about like, hey, religion, it's a battleground. You know what I mean? It's the liberal agenda. We got to fight against it, and that's what the church. And she's just
Vincent D'Onofrio. He's playing a gentleman named Jerry Falwell.
Yeah,
and he was very much like. He's very much the stereotype of what we think of when we think televangelist.
Yeah. He plays that Jerry Falwell, and, he's that guy that is, very much like, religion is the battleground. We got to fight against it, this liberal agenda. And, we don't like gay people. We don't really like that, the soul of America, everything like that. Tammy Faye, she's just a person who's like, yeah, I don't really know about all that. I just think like, hey, America's for everybody, but okay. And she kind of talks in this Betty Boop kind of voice, almost like a little bit like Luann from King of the Hill. There's even like a moment where she even has the whole little plays with the puppets, you know what I mean? Like because it's kind of like a little Mr. Rogers type thing when they do with their whole show, because they travel the country. You see them kind of rising to success and traveling the country. And it's kind of like a little Mr. Rogers thing that she comes out and with the kids and plays with the little puppets and does all that and sings and does all that stuff. And then he comes preaching. So they have this whole little variety act, that they go on tour with, and that's how they become more and more successful. And you kind of see that. Yeah, I mean everything else in the movie is just kind of okay, besides for the performance of the two leads and Andrew Garfield. I was like, well, if they ever do a like kind of another Mister Rogers movie, I think he'd make a good Mister Rogers. Like I don't know, maybe it's because he looked kind of in the suits and the sweaters and everything like that. I was like, he'd actually make maybe a decent Mister Rogers, Andrew Garfield, if they ever did another movie. But yeah, I mean, watching it, I was just kind of like everything else is kind of just fair, subpar, other than the performances. And there's really nothing else kind of all that exciting about it. And it's just kind of traditional, kind of biographical kind of stuff. It kind of speeds through it. It's almost like you're speed reading, like kind of like the Wikipedia page of their story. It did kind of make me more interested to check out the documentary and see how much more depth they kind of get into things and how much they talk about the kind of the case and that kind of got lobbed at Jim Baker and everything like that. But overall, besides really for the two great performances I keep harping on with Andrew Garfield and with Jessica Chastain, everyone else in the movie, they're pretty good for the most part. Like Vincent D'Onofrio, he's decent, but he's not just, he kind of comes in and out of the movie throughout. You have Cherry Jones, who plays Jessica Chastain's mother in the movie. She's pretty decent. She's pretty fair. And you have kind of other actors here that kind of round out the cast. You also have Pat Robertson, and you have other like big, kind of televangelists who's played by Gabriel Olds here, who plays Pat Robinson. Pat Robinson, we know, is still a very big, huge televangelist today. Doesn't really, the movie doesn't really kind of seems like it's struggling to make it a comedy and plus a drama because this is directed by a guy, Mike Showalter, who's known for dabbling, who's very known for doing comedy for the most part. And it seems like it's trying to balance those two things, but isn't fully committing to one or the other. And you can do a situation where you can have that element where you combine drama and the comedy and make it work. But here it doesn't really look like it's doing it too well. So for me, I would give it a 6 out of 10, maybe light 6 out of 10 for me. All right, so moving on from The Eyes of Tammy Faye, we're going to be discussing Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen is a musical turned movie. Did anybody here ever hear of this before they made it into a movie?
I've heard about it. I think when it was doing its big Broadway run, I was on deployment around the same time. I think Hamilton was really big, but I've heard the music from it through Spotify. And when I heard that Ben Platt was reprising his role, I was like getting really intrigued. Okay, this is kind of cool that they're getting the guy who originated this role to adapt it into a movie. Until I saw the trailer. And you had Ben Platt's Steve Buscemi looking ass just walking around this high school singing about, why doesn't anyone notice me? When everybody around is thinking, why is this 35-year-old man in high school?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of one of the big
He's
things.
actually 27.
Yeah.
True, but he looks so much older than everybody around him. Even actors that are of comparable age, like Colton Ryan, who plays Connor Murphy in this, or Caitlin Dever, who's like in her mid-20s, they can at least pass for teenagers. This motherfucker's got like crow's feet and shit. He looks old.
Yeah. Dusk.
I couldn't watch this movie without thinking of the "How do you do, fellow kids?"
Dusk, what about you? What were kind of your thoughts on like? Have you ever heard of the musical before?
No, I had never heard of the music before. Not that I don't care for any type of musicals. I think if they're done fairly well, it's regardless of whether or not they receive a movie, they're still well respected. And actually, this movie as a play actually won a ton of awards, as it was Ben Platt's performance during that run, all the way from the very beginning of 2014 to it finally got off Broadway and then on Broadway. So, if nothing else, his run is quite strong, and that's one thing you can say, at least about the movie. He is trying.
Yeah.
Yes, I think his vocal performance is spectacular, but I think there's something with Steven Chbosky's direction, because he's the guy who directed Perks of Being a Wallflower, and wonder, which is why I thought he was like especially suited to directing this. But he goes for more just basic filmmaking, and I think with Ben Platt's performance, it feels like he's way too close to the character that he just feels really unnatural.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me explain what this movie is about here. So you have Evan Hansen here, is played by Ben Platt. He's a teenager in high school, 17 years old, and he's suffering from social anxiety. A lot of people say may say he's on the spectrum to a degree. Someone who's incredibly very socially awkward. Doesn't have any friends. The only kind of friend he has is a family friend, and the family friend makes that distinction. It's like, I'm just a family friend. I'm not your like real friend, and he treats him like garbage. And while going to this high school, he has a crush on a girl. That crush is like as Nick mentioned, it's played by Caitlin Dever. Her name is Zoe Murphy, and
which to be fair, most people would have a crush on Caitlin Dever.
Yes, Caitlin Dever. She's yes, a very attractive woman, cute girl, everything like that. And he has a crush on her. And what he does, kind of as a coping mechanism for his social anxiety, he writes these letters to himself, these Dear Evan Hansen letters, like these journal entries to himself. He types them in a computer, everything like that. And then one day he's in the school library. He types in, he writes one of his letters to himself. It was a situation where he like accidentally printed it out, right? He didn't mean, I think he tried to like save it or something. And then he like printed it out by mistake. So he tries to go to the printer, then tries to go get it. There's a line for it. Then all of a sudden this kind of person who's, I wouldn't say a bully towards him, because you only really see him once in the movie, kind of antagonize him. There's this guy named Connor, who's the brother of the Caitlin Dever character. And he's the one that finds it, takes it off the printer, and then he's like, "Oh, I actually need that back." He runs off with the letter, and next thing Connor committed suicide. And then when they found his body, they found the letter that Evan wrote in his pocket, but they think because it said Dear Evan Hansen in it, that Connor had wrote it to Evan. So now they think that him and Evan were like these super close friends. It's like, well, hey, you're the last person that the suicide note, you're the person that he was talking to. So, you guys must have been super close. And his parents come up to the school. They talk to him. They're grieving, and they see Evan as the last link to their son, the last connection that they have to him. So he at first tries to explain things. Because like, no, I know that's not what it is. But they see the cast, and they see that Connor wrote his name on his cast. I mean, he wrote his name big as hell on the cast too. Usually, when you write on the cast, you're just supposed to kind of do a little quick sign, like But
and that was something that stood out to me too. But it was a thing in the play, and I think the more the movie goes on, the more you learn about what Connor was dealing with, the more it makes sense.
Yeah, so they they're talking to him. It's like, and he wants to help out because he's like, well, these people are going through a hard time, and I'm the last kind of person who really, maybe to them, who knew their son. So, and the family of Connor, they take him in. I mean, Evan gets to see what it's like to be a part of an actual family, because he comes from a broken home. His mother works all the time, who's played by Julianne Moore. She's a nurse. She's always working long hours. His dad, he tries. You see that he tries to text his dad all the time. You see just a list of text messages that are never received. I mean, his dad treats him like he's a ghosted ex. Like he just ghosted his ass. Like he just, you know what I mean? Like I don't even think
it was like a scene away. It was like a scene away from him just getting like the 3 dots, and it's like, new phone, who dis?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, I don't even think those messages said delivered. I think like maybe he blocked his ass. He don't know, because I don't even
just sent.
Yeah, it just says sent. I think because like he just scrolls and says nothing but endless messages. So Evan starts to gain all the things that he didn't have before because of the suicide. He starts to gain a family. He gets closer to his crush because her brother died, and then now he's hasn't is in more contact with her. He starts to be a part of a group because now that Connor died, and he's kind of like they use his death as to talk about mental awareness in the school, and then Connor like gives a whole speech that goes viral, and then everybody kind of feels connected to it and everything like that. So they start this whole program in Connor's name, and it's led up by Amanda Stenberg. She's like the activist in the school. She's somebody who's very like always forming clubs and groups. Environmental awareness and things like that. And she forms this group in Connor's name, all to spread mental awareness for for people and everything like that. And so it's just like he gets all the things he wants in life, due to his suicide. How did you guys kind of feel about the movie and watching it?
Okay, so I think where this movie falls short, not just in I think miscast of Ben Platt in the lead role, because even though I feel like he's miscast, he still brings a lot to the role, even as kind of unnatural as it is. I don't know who you would have like replaced him with because he is so close to the character, and it definitely doesn't help that his dad was a producer in the movie, so there is a little bit of nepotism there. But it's also arguable, hey, he originated the role, he won the Tony for it. Who else would you have gotten? But besides that, I think some of the changes to the story that they made from the stage production, I don't think they really work as well. Because one of the big things that they cut was a number from the musical called was a number in the musical between Evan Hansen and Connor's father. It was like called "To Break in a Glove," and that was really the song that illustrated more or less why Evan was kind of doing this, kind of like just going along with this like really elaborate lie, because he was really felt like he was becoming a part of a family, which I don't think is something that the movie conveys really well. Also, I think in the play, Evan comes up with the Connor Project as kind of like his way of roundabout making amends for kind of going along with this big deception instead of how it is in the movie where his parents bring it to him and he just continues along with it.
Okay. Dust.
This movie is like the Robin Williams movie World's Greatest Dad, except World's Greatest Dad actually had a very profound punchline at the end of it, and this lie was way more deep in what it was trying to say. And that's not a perfect movie by any means, but it's a very similar concept. And this movie has the unfortunate capability of being just passable, just passably interesting. And it's not just for the fact that, as Nick, as you said, that he has the camera angles that are pulled back and the way that the movie is done. It's not just that Evans, the character Ben Platter, is too old for the role. Yes, those are all contributing factors. But I think what you brought up in the fact that the things removed from the play caused the biggest issue. Evans is just a on the ride for his own story. He is not a protagonist. He is not making decisions. He's not making crucial choices in order to do stuff. It's more like, things just kind of fall in my lap, and this is elaborate lie. Man, oh no, what am I gonna do? I really like this family, man.
I also think that's kind of a thing in Steven Chbosky's other films. Like even in Perks of Being a Wallflower, I think that was more or less Logan Lerman's character going along for the ride. And I think there are a lot of similarities between those two stories, not just the same director.
Fair enough, but at the same time, I just don't think these two tones meet. You have this.
I think that with the more stylistically inclined director, that this could have been something special. Like I feel like someone like Dexter Fletcher would have done something amazing with this story.
Yeah, this is especially for the subject matter, the characters, and what was removed. This needed some if this is going to be as long as it's going to be for what it's about, it needed some pop. It needed some, okay, we got to really just kind of get in here. And just the way this movie is done, a lot of wide angles, a lot of being a little too close to characterizations. It's one or the other. Either we're making a serious movie about, hey, what it means to be alone, or we're doing a musical that touches on that subject, and it's about learning some lesson. Uh, one or the other. And you have this weird mix now. It doesn't quite gel.
Yeah,
That's my
and
main
I think
issue with it.
I think that's kind of a problem when you take a play like Dear Evan Hansen
Yeah.
and adapt it into film, because just by the nature of what it is, some things that work on a stage production doesn't necessarily work in a film, because real like big red flag was the number Sincerely Me, which in the stage play is this big bombastic number, this almost like rock anthem, and in the movie it's really jarring when that scene happens.
Yeah, it's one of these things where I wanted the movie to stop being realistic. Where I went, all right, this is the part where I almost wanted it a moment where we just, if you're going to convert this kind of a play, you got to embrace the nature of that play. So when that moment comes in, it's like he's at the sitting and it's realistic, and then bam, he's just surrounded in darkness. Now he's on a play. Now we're getting to the songs. The songs is the reality outside of the reality we've created. And it allows you to kind of indulge yourself to what the musical nature of, while still keeping that realism because it's in his head. It's these little moments that he's allowed to kind of, allowing himself to kind of have these moments.
And that was something that to bring up another musical project that was kind of touching on similar themes, that the CW show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. On that show, they established very early on that all of the musical sequences, they're in the characters' heads, and I think with that they were able to more or less strike that balance.
Right, because you can still retain in the reality of the film in which you're talking about, but you can also indulge in the more fantastical elements of a play. Not everything is Moulin Rouge. Not everything is right. Okay, you can't. Moulin Rouge, whether it worked or didn't for you, at least it's bombastic. It knows its nature and it's going all in. And so you kind of just accept, all right, people are just singing, sure, why not? But when you have a down to earth character, when you're having moments where he's talking to Amy Adams as the mom, and he's having these moments between Connor's sister Zoe, and these little intimate moments between these characters, and you're just like, okay, this is a completely different movie than what you're trying. I think what you're trying to make. And I think it wasn't the right choice. A lot of
it feels like whenever it does break into its musical segments, it feels like a producer over the shoulder of Steven Chbosky saying, "Hey, we got to make these. We got to put these songs in." And it's not to say that the music in this is bad. It's fucking incredible. But it's just when you put it in the scenes in the movie, it's like this departure in tone that I don't think fits really well.
Right. You know what's funny? Even in the marketing, it's so a little off kilter. In the marketing, they avoided the fact that it was even a musical to begin with. I didn't know it was a musical until they finally went and saw it.
Yeah, until like the final trailer, which is the one set to Waving in the Window.
Yeah.
Almost none of the music is in the market.
Yeah.
Except for like little motifs that you hear from some of the big songs in it. You hear like For Forever in one of the trailers, Waving in Through the Window, You Will Be Found, which is kind of like this musical's magnum opus, I would say.
Sure. Yeah, just that kind of...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, finish your thought there.
I was just saying, it was just this moment, that was that moment where... Even in the trailer, when the final trailer dropped and he just started singing, I'm like, even I was like, oh no, that just caught me completely off guard. That's like a whiplash already. I hope that's not like the rest of the movie. Yeah. And it kind of was.
Yeah. So I think, throughout the movie, I think it is very melodramatic in a way. Just in kind of the stuff they deal with. It does kind of feel very CW-ish in that kind of a way. You bring up Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, that kind
I
of
mean,
feeling.
not just because you have a 30-year-old, yet not just because you have a dude who looks like 35 playing a teenager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you got that kind of
Eh,
element. But I mean, if it was CW, I mean, he'd be like a model. You know what I mean? Very like he'd be,
Let's be fair. Let's be
washboard
fair.
abs.
we gotten like KJ Appa play fucking Evan Hansen.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Dusk? I'm
I'm
sorry.
so pretty. Why am I so lonely?
Yeah, I mean, it would totally be something like that. It would, yeah, it wouldn't be like that at all. But here, discussing the performances in the movie, yes, he does look a lot older than everybody else. Like you do have actors in this, who are in their 20s. Like all the main teenagers that who are playing teenagers, all that you see, they're all in their 20s. Like Kristen, like Caitlin Dever, excuse me, she's 24. Amanda Stenberg, she's 22. She's, I think, the youngest one. She's like 22. But they both they look
It's
like
either
her.
her, yeah, it's either her or Colton Ryan that are the youngest in the cast. And Colton Ryan, he's also connected to the original Broadway production. He was the understudy for both Ben Platt and I'm trying to remember the actor who played Connor on stage. Uh, he was the understudy for both roles there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's 26 actually. Colton Ryan, he's 26.
Oh shit. Well, the point is, they all look way younger.
Yeah, I mean, they just have that thing about them that they can just play high school roles. Caitlin Dever, she just was in a really good high school movie. She was just in Booksmart.
Yeah,
She was
Book
just
Smart.
yeah. She,
Book Smart, a fantastic movie. Unbelievable, where I think she was playing 16 or 17, and she still passed for that age.
Yeah, and I think people they're very solid in the movie. Amy Adams, being a part
Mhm.
of there, and then you also have her husband in there, Danny Pino, who's the
Yeah,
father.
Amy Adams, who this is the first time she's actually sang in a movie since like The Muppets,
Oh,
which I
really?
was shocked to learn.
Oh, okay. Pretty nice.
Yeah,
Didn't she sing? Oh, she also sung in like Enchanted too, right?
yeah, but that was way
That was way
before.
before.
Oh, okay. Way
That was
before.
like 2004.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that was 2004. Jeez. Okay. Wow, that was a long, long time ago. But so you have Amy Adams, Danny Pino playing the parents of Connor. I think they give good performances, and as things start to develop, and emotional, trying to deal with a kid, and how all the things that kind of slowly kind of
A-
elaborate the movie of
a-
Connor,
mhm.
kind of dealing with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All of my criticisms of the movie, none of them have anything to do with the performances from the actors or the actual music.
Yeah, I think the music is strong. I think the performances are good for the most part. I think just kind of what comes in terms of with me of the issues. It's just it's a little bit melodramatic. A lot of this stuff,
Hmm.
and is it a little sloppy in its handling of kind of mental health issues of maybe that's kind of for I guess the viewer to decide of how it kind of deals with kind of those issues of mental health, especially how much it's impacting people today, especially young people today at a very high rate. What do you guys kind of like final thoughts on the movie and ratings for it?
I think the performances are probably one of the only things saving this. For me, except for Ben Platt, I feel like everybody else was kind of acting very naturalistic, but with him, everything felt really rehearsed. It felt like he was trying to act as Evan Hansen. It wasn't just the character coming to life. It felt like he's played this role so many times over so many years, sang this on stage, off Broadway, sang it on award shows during the Tonys when he won. He's just too close to the role,
Mm.
and I felt like he was kind of one of the negatives on this. I think the songs that from the third act of the play that got cut, I feel like you kind of needed those to get more into Evan Hansen's headspace. The performances from the rest of the cast, especially Caitlin Dever and Amanda Stenberg, both of their musical numbers I think are some of the best in the film. And Colton Ryan, um, in even as many problems as I had with that number, Sincerely Me, he brings something that I don't even think Will Roland, who played him in the stage play, he brings something to that role of lightness that I don't even think the original actor did.
Okay.
But I think all of the shortcomings are with the filmmaking choices, and for that, I wanted to like this a lot more, but it's probably just a 5 out of 10 for me.
5. Okay. Dusk.
Mm, I agree on most of his sentiments. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to go a bit lower. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. I just can't think of. While the music is good, and I do think the performances are fair, there's just nothing else really kind of drawing me to come back to it. You know what I mean? And to me, I just can't give it much higher than a 4 or maybe a 5. But because of the subject matter, because of the way the way it's done, the way the movie is handled and done, I'm falling a little bit more on the slightly below average.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think for me, a lot of my criticisms are because I have prior knowledge of some of the stage production. If this is someone's first exposure to Dear Evan Hansen, I think they'll probably just think the movie's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my first exposure to it. You know what I mean? I didn't know about the musical beforehand. So it's kind of learning more about it and everything about that in the musical and how it was this huge success. And Nick makes a good point, and maybe the actor Ben Platt, maybe he's just too close to the role. Not talking about just like his age or anything like that, and how he's just kind of he's aged out of it, but just maybe it's just maybe they just needed some new blood to kind of come in there and portray the part. But the director was insistent on bringing him in the movie and having him star in it.
It wasn't even the director. It was more who was a producer.
Okay. Yeah, so they were very insistent on him being in it, and he does kill the musical parts, the singing parts. He does do very well in those parts, and kind of other actors who come in with their kind of musical chops. They do a decent job enough, and nobody sounds outright horrible. But I think, like, to Dusk's point, there's just nothing really that I think automatically just draws you back to it. This movie is over 2 hours. What I mean? And I think, maybe that's a little bit long for a movie like this, maybe a tad bit long. But it is kind of interesting because you are, in some way, rooting for Evan, through the movie, even though he is caught up in this lie, and you just kind of want to see how long he can go with it because, I mean, finally he's had some type of success in his life, and it's just like, wow, okay, I mean, kind of good for you, and he seems like everything's on the up and up, but of course, the the shoe is going to drop eventually. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a decent film at that, and for me, I would give it about a 5 out of 10. I agree with kind of Nick and Dust there, about a 5 out of 10 there for me.
I think all the parts were there to make this something special, but I think a couple of the cogs aren't a real big good fit. Like, I think Stephen Chbosky was kind of the wrong choice for directing a musical.
Maybe. All right, so moving on from discussing.
Now moving on to our next thing. Speaking of actors that are way too old for lead role in their movie, what are we talking about next, Josh?
We are going to be talking about Clint Eastwood in Cry Macho. Cry Macho is a movie that is simultaneously released, so you can watch it in theaters and on HBO Max. HBO Max is, I think for me it's overtaken as my new favorite streaming service. I think everything kind of is HBO Max has been pretty good. I like going to HBO Max. I know everybody gives HBO Max a lot of slander because that app does suck.
The app is kind of ass. Every time I like watching it on my phone and trying to watch a series, like I watch one episode and I hit next and it's like something went wrong. Please refresh.
Yeah, it does that to me. I try to play it on my PlayStation 5 and then it's like error or something like that, and then I had to like it'll play like a couple episodes and it's all of a sudden error or something. Like, what the hell is happening? And you got to close the app and come back into it. It's really stupid. Or even like when I'm on my laptop,
it was really frustrating this week because I was trying to like binge Doom Patrol.
Yeah, so it's tough to binge shows on there, and then even when I watch it on my laptop, even when it like even hitting pause and play is like it messes up sometimes. It's all jittery. It's like like okay, whatever. But yeah. So here you have Cry Macho. You have Clint Eastwood, 91 years old. Clint Eastwood still making movies, still acting. Good for him, man. Clint Eastwood still out there, still doing it, still working. At that age, so it's incredibly good for him. So in this movie, he plays a one-time Bronco buster, as they say in the movie. Guy who used to kind of break horses, breed them, things like that. And then he takes a job from Dwight Holcomb, where he has to go to Mexico. Dwight Holcomb has a son there, and then he has to go kind of get him upon his request. And the beginning of the movie lets you know already what Dwight Yoakam thinks of Clint Eastwood's character. It says it all right there, all right in the beginning. You're washed up, you're an alcoholic, you're an asshole, all these things. Just lets you know right off the bat. All his character traits, says it all out, right out there for everybody to hear. And he kind of goes to Mexico in order to kind of get this kid back and bring him back to his father. And that's basically the setup. That's basically the premise. And I think kind of one of the big things about this movie is it just feels aimless. It just feels like there's no real clear, kind of thing of what's going on in the movie. And you can have a nice slice of life. Movies.
You're talking about a director who legitimately had an entire conversation with an empty chair.
True, he did have a conversation, with an empty chair. Had a whole full dialogue there. This was like way back. This was like I think this was like 2008 because I think it was
I think that was like the 2008. That was like the 2008 RNC when that happened.
Yeah,
and that was kind of like the beginning of, oh shit, Clint Eastwood might be going senile.
But even after that, he still made some really good movies. What was that movie he did with Andrew Garfield? Yeah. I forgot the name of that movie.
That wasn't him. That was Mel Gibson.
That was Mel Gibson. Oh, Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh, Mel. Okay, that was
he did American Sniper with Bradley Cooper, which I think is a really good movie.
Yeah, he did. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, he did American Sniper. Which is a decent movie. I thought that was pretty good. And he's still kind of still working, still making movies. And I think with this one, like I said, I just think it feels kind of aimless. When he goes kind of to Mexico, he first talks to the mother and Dwight Yoakam. He tells him of how evil and bad.
You mean the mom? Oh, you mean the mom who's like 50 years younger than him and is throwing herself at that like shriveled old dick.
Yeah, she's absolutely like there's two main women that you see in this movie, and both are attracted to Clint Eastwood. It's
who are like half a century younger than him, and are just thirsty.
Yeah,
with a capital T.
Yeah, it's just like I guess because he directed it, so it's his movie, so he gets to have, hot women lust after him.
I'm always a little icky when a director does that. It's like, ugh, come on, man.
So I'm like, okay, because like there's a scene where he goes to meet the mother, and the mother's the head of like this cartel or this drug kind of gang. And
it isn't even said if it's like a cartel. It's probably just like she's rich, because I think this movie, it doesn't want to take any like risks or like portray. It doesn't want to take any like actual like chances on your storytelling. It's like not explicitly said. Is she like a cartel? Is she like actually abusing the kid? None of it's said. Everything's said. None of it's shown.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, she's literally like when Nick talks about it, she's literally on the bed begging for him to come in the bed. And like I'm like, Jesus, like, okay. And he refuses it. Like he's heard it all before. Like he's too good to sleep with the incredibly attractive woman, half his age, more than half his age. But it's like, oh, okay, sure.
I don't think Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino was a performance.
Yeah. So that's true, but but and then when she talks about the son, and he goes to her for information, asking, where is he and everything like that, and the mother talks about the son, it's like, oh, he's unruly, and oh, he's crazy, and oh, he's a bad guy, and he's a bad, what I mean, bad person, and
he's a monster.
Yeah,
he's a monster.
And
a
then
monster.
And
then you actually meet the kid, and he's like a normal fucking teenager.
Yeah, I mean, he's cockfighting, which is, I mean, you're not supposed to be cockfighting. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? But whatever, he's in Mexico, it's whatever. I mean, it's not a good thing to be doing, but, it's like he's not even a punk. He's just, what I mean? He's actually kind of, respectful and, decent kid.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what that whole description of him was. And, for that movie, they kind of pal around together. Clint Eastwood and this kid, they kind of pal around together. Yeah, I mean, there's really kind of nothing to really get excited about this movie for.
This is just like an hour and 45-minute boring, glacially placed, conflictless movie that I can barely even call a movie, except for the only entertainment factor is I was kind of waiting for Clint Eastwood to just shatter anytime he had to do anything physical.
Yeah. Dusk, what about you? What were kind of your thoughts on them?
Well, first of all, I'm a big fan of Clint Eastwood. I like a lot of his stuff. It's great for me to know that this man has been continuing being influential well into his 90s, and people he's been known 3 generations worth. So even people from his time to their kids to now their kids know who Clint Eastwood is. And that's fantastic. As for the movie itself, you're all not wrong. Everything you said is not wrong. However, I don't know. There's something about Clint Eastwood being just this crotchety old guy, and the same thing happening over and over again. There's a fight, and then there's a conflict, and then it's really relatively finished. Don't worry about it. All right, we're moving on. And then really the whole thing is, well, we just got to get you back. And the kid's like, don't wanna. All right.
And then the kid's, okay, I want to now.
Yeah, there you go. And then it happens. And I gotta say, it's a great plot. And the movie knows when to get in and get out. It's only 90 minutes. They don't waste your time too long. And I mean, it's just one of those movies, man, where I kind of dig some of the musical motifs. I kind of like the environment in which they're kind of in is really neat. But yeah, every potential for this to be at least a little bit conflicting, anything, he just skirts right by that shit. I will say I do like the character of Macho, the rooster. He has some funny moments.
Oh, you mean the chicken that didn't have to do or say anything?
That's true. And he's still somewhat of a better character than some of the people in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to keep from completely dogging on this movie, I do think that that Eastwood, even as crotchety as he is, he still somehow manages to be just effortlessly charming. And I think him and the kid who's played by Eduardo Minette, I think they have decent chemistry in some of their scenes. Even though I don't think Minette's the best actor.
No, he's not. No. I mean, there's a scene where it's like anytime a buddy kind of movie where 2 people team up, get together, road trip, something, there's always going to be a fallout scene. There's always going to be a scene where they fall out with each other, but then they get back. So that I thought that scene was really bad. I mean, when the kid has to pretend to be angry, act like he's angry, and storm away.
It doesn't help that not even 5 seconds later they're all chummy again.
Yeah. So it's there's, like I said, it's not really a whole lot of conflict kind of going on, and even a little bit of where you have it where the mother all of a sudden she wants the kid back, so she sends one of her goons to go track down them and go get the kid back. I mean, you really forget about that for a long period of time because they end up in this Mexican town, and they hang out with this other family, this woman who owns this little restaurant and then diner or whatever, and then they hang out with her kids and her kids and everything, and actually, then Clint Eastwood, he's like a veterinarian for a bit in this little town, and everybody takes their animals to him, and it's like, okay, how long are they spending in this town? And okay, like, what is this? Is like a whole other separate movie going on here? It's like, okay, when are you gonna get to give him back to the father? And then it's like, okay, what the hell is going on here? And even that one.
Honestly, it feels more like Clint Eastwood forgot about that plot thread.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing here? Oh, right.
Right. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna have it where the goon comes back, and then he's got to chase us. So that gives us motivation to leave, and then
that actor showed up on the call sheet, and Eastwood's just like, "Who are you again?"
I mean,
So,
pretty much, yeah. Yeah, Dusk, go ahead.
I'll give this. This might at least interest you a little bit. This was originally Cry Macho was made in the 70s. Just to let you know.
Yes,
Go ahead.
It was originally going to be made in the 70s, and it's kind of like picked up steam since the 70s. I think Roy Scheider was attached to it.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was supposed to play this role right after he finished his term as a governor of California.
Yeah.
But then that whole news story about how he knocked up a nanny came out.
Yeah.
And then Eastwood just like bought the rights back and decided to make it last year during the pandemic.
To be fair, Eastwood was originally offered to play it in 1988, and he said no because he wanted to play another Deadpool.
Yeah, he wanted the Deadpool. The Dirty Harry sequel.
The Dirty Harry Deadpool, yeah, which is actually not a bad movie, all things considered.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
So man, there's something about the movie I just can't really hate, but yeah, it's just one of these movies where. So what's the plot here? Why are you guys doing it? What's the theme?
Yeah.
And then you get the theme, and you're like, oh, okay. All right, well that was over real quick. Why are we still in a movie?
Mm-hmm.
Guess we got to. I don't know, but at the same time, I do like Clint Eastwood's portrayal. I like him as this crotchety guy, and you got to admit he does have a good couple of lines every once in a while. He does have some good zingers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
especially in that very beginning when he describes like you were all these things. It's like, well, I always knew you were a coward.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a gutless asshole, but no need to be rude.
No need to be rude. I'm like, that's good old Clint.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, the movie to me is just, it's really simple for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not bad, but it is, you do wonder, yeah, I could see how they're able to do it on the cheap. I could see how they were able to kind of do this very quickly. And not the performances none of them are really bad, but there's nothing that really pulls away from any of his other creative works, or anything that really breathes life into it to make it more than what it is.
What would you give it as your final rating, Dusk? What would you say about this?
I gotta go as a big Clint Eastwood fan, and just digging him and just digging the kind of environment. This is a very low key movie. Like if you are in the mood for just a slow burn of a movie, you don't mind just kind of letting it kind of play in the background as you do other things. This is a 5 out of 10, straight up, completely average, nothing special, but it's got those things that you might want to check out once in a while to see what's up. But I can't recommend any higher than a 5. I can't. There's nothing else that really brings it to slightly above average. It is average at its best. Even with all the performances and the fun I had. The small amount of fun I had, especially with that rooster.
Yeah. As far as movie roosters go, I think he's up there with the rooster from Moana. I think he's up there. I think he's top movie rooster. I think, yeah.
I hope to see more from him. I hope to see more from Macho.
The rooster from Moana actually had character, and was played by.
He wasn't given that much.
He was given an actor with real gravitas, like Alan Tudyk.
He can be a contender. I know it.
Yeah.
There's a feature for that rooster.
Yeah. Maybe he can be in the next like Creed.
It's gonna be the next. It's gonna be the next Crystal the monkey.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, maybe he's gonna be in the next like Creed 3. You know, he's gonna be the rooster that he chases around. You know what I mean?
He's gonna take over.
Yeah.
He's gonna take over as Creed's head trainer.
Yeah,
I will.
Yeah. Nick, what about you, man? What are your final thoughts, rating?
Me, I think the movie, it's just too long, and it's just too long without any kind of conflict going on. Everybody in this movie just likes Clint Eastwood, which I do too, but it doesn't make for a fucking interesting film. I think some of the scenes between him and the kid actor are fine, but any like conflict is so like stamped out that I was bored through like 90% of this movie. I can't give it any higher than a 4 out of 10.
That's fair.
I
Wow.
was just bored.
I think I appreciated just a little bit more than you did. And I did appreciate the quiet moments and the little subtleties here and there. But I completely understand you just being like, oh man, I'm gonna give it 4. I completely get it.
And it's touching on themes that Eastwood has played with in some of his other films, like themes of coming to grips with your own mortality, themes of loss that I think are handled better in his films like Hereafter or one of his other later films. Gran Torino, yeah.
Gran Torino.
Yeah, I would say
and I did appreciate Gran Torino, and I did appreciate that, you know, Eastwood's not playing an out-and-out bigot and have it be played for laughs.
Yeah. Yeah, Gran Turismo, that's the video game. Yeah. Clint
That's
Eastwood.
true.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood driving a Ferrari.
Shit, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Shit, I can't wait.
Yeah. Actually, I'd love to see that. Maybe Clint Eastwood, he should be in the next Fast and Furious movies. Yeah, put him in there. 91.
I would love it.
91.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love
He
him
just
doing drifts.
He just comes in as Dom Toretto's grandfather.
Yeah,
Never knew me.
great grandfather. Yeah, it'd be, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you got
fast in your blood.
yeah, I'd love to see. They got Helen Mirren in there.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom. Make my day.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Dom. Make me drive. And that'd be his line right there, coming in like that. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's a good opportunity. Hey, that's a good opportunity to have Clint Eastwood in there. His son is already in the movies. Might as well have him show up. Yeah.
We don't need to bring that dude up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like I said, I think this movie is pretty dull. Clint Eastwood, like Dusk and Nick said, I mean, he's a veteran actor. Been acting for longer than we've all been alive, and he's good at it. And he does it
almost twice as long as most of us have been alive.
Yeah, and he's good at it, and he's good in this, and he has good moments, good lines, good kind of moments. And his relationship with the kid. Sometimes there are good moments with him and the kid, but the kid is, I don't think, that very strong of an actor. I don't know if it's his direction of him or what, but just lots of scenes of him are just not very good. And the fact that a lot of this kind of movie just feels, like I said, kind of aimless, kind of going nowhere. There is no real good conflict here because when they do fight, they get they immediately reconcile. So it's not like a serious moment. It's like, oh, are they ever gonna rekindle that relationship? It's like they snap back in literally 5 seconds, so it's no big deal. Besides kind of for the other performances, they're okay. I thought Dwight Yoakam I think he was a little bit on the weaker side, but I thought he was decent. You don't really see him in the movie all that much. I mean, for me, I just would give it we've been giving a lot of movie 4s and 5s and 6s this so far. I'd give it maybe a light 5 out of 10 for me. I think there's kind of better stuff you can watch it on HBO Max and kind of enjoy. There's better Clint Eastwood movies you can watch for sure and enjoy. Watch Unforgiven if you've never seen that. You know what I mean, for the maybe 20th time if you wanted to. Check that out or something. But yeah, this isn't it. Just not it for me. All right, so moving on from Cry Macho, going to discuss a movie that I only saw again, just like from the Eyes of Tammy Faye. We're going to be discussing Copshop. Cop Shop is a movie directed by Joe Carnahan. Joe Carnahan, you might remember him from such movies as Smoking Aces, which I have an irrational hate for that movie. I hate Smoking Aces. I really do.
I think your hate for that movie is misplaced. That movie is so much fun.
Yeah, I hate that movie. Hate the premise. Hate the plot. Hate the ending. I hate everything about that movie. And that was Smoking Aces with the all star cast of people. You had like Taraji P Henson. You had Common. You had Ben Affleck. You had Chris Pine. Jeremy Piven. All star cast of people. That's the assassin movie that there was there. He also directed the A Team, which I actually kind of do like the A Team. I thought that was a pretty fun movie.
Yeah,
Based on
yeah.
the
The A Team is a fun, dumb action movie, and The Gray is fucking spectacular as well.
Yes, The Gray, which is pretty much one of my favorite movies ever done. I love The Gray. And The Gray was, people remember that from the trailer of when Liam Neeson strapped the bottles to his hands and ran at the wolf. In that trailer, everybody was like, "Oh shit, it's Liam Neeson versus wolves! Oh shit! Oh my god,
And
that's
you,
what we're
and
going."
you and you see the movie, and it's this like quiet, meditative essay about loss and grief,
Yeah,
and it's still fucking amazing.
yeah, it's an amazing. It was a really really great movie. Great performance from Liam Neeson in that movie. And that scene with the with I know people were pissed because that scene with the bottles and shit. That was the last scene of the movie, and the shit cuts to black. I know, motherfuckers was
Yeah,
pissed. They were like, "What the fuck?"
I know they were.
Oh my god! It was like, oh shit, yeah. But he also did that movie. He also did a movie which Nick really liked. He reviewed very recently called Boss Level, which is on Hulu. I have yet to see that movie, Boss Level, yet. But which
That movie is great.
yeah,
There is a gigantic anti-Semitic elephant, but still a fun movie.
yeah. So I've been meaning to check that out. It's on Hulu. I've been meaning to check that out, and it also stars Frank Grillo, just like this movie, Cop Shop, and Frank Grillo is the lead here. So you have this movie where a con man who is played by Frank Grillo, who's wearing a man bun. Frank Grillo, a handsome guy, but the man bun, that's not a look that works for him. Not a look that really works. The long hair, man bun style, it's like, yeah, not really working for him. He kind of looks like a lame Johnny Depp, kind of like that. But so he's a con man on the run from some lethal assassins. One of those assassins being played by Gerard Butler, and he ends up kind of getting himself locked up in prison in order to avoid these assassins, in kind of this small town police station. And while he's kind of there, these different assassins come to kill him, and kind of standing in their way is this rookie cop, who's played by Alexis Louder, who plays Valerie Young in the movie. So with this movie, I will say probably the best movie that we're going to be talking about. At least I'm going to be talking about all night. A really, really, a really fun movie. Thought it, really had kind of great humor about it, great action about it. You kind of have this element like almost like a Assault on Precinct 13 kind of element too, except that instead of like the people there all working together to stop an outside element, it's kind of, all these people kind of, you don't know who to trust, and you know what I mean, and this assassin, this con man, and kind of, you don't really know where the story's gonna go all the time, which I kind of like. I was kind of like, okay, is this person gonna make it out? Is this person gonna make it out? And I like that a lot. And for one of the leads of this movie to be kind of a black woman in a movie like this is something you kind of rarely don't really see. And Alexis Louder does a very very good job, and she's very badass in the movie a lot. And a lot of stuff he does in the action scenes, that is very impressive to watch. Joe Carnahan, I mean, like we said, we've seen him do very good action stuff before. Even though I don't like Smoking Aces, did have good action in it. He knows how to shoot action very well. The A Team I thought had really good action in it. Had good stupid action in it. The shit was, I mean, there was like one scene in 18 where they're like define the laws of physics. They're driving a tank in the sky, shooting it, and they're like shooting the tank in order to drive the tank in the sky or some shit like that, like dumbass shit like that. But he knows how to shoot action very well, and he does that here. Performances are really great. Gerard Butler, playing this kind of lethal assassin, I think does a really really great job at that. And and you kind of also have this other character come in, this assassin character who's like this complete psycho. And I know that actor too. He's a veteran actor, character actor, and he's always in a.
Toby Huss, who he's another one of those guys you've seen him around.
Yeah, veteran actor.
Yeah, you've seen him in stuff like Glow. You've seen him in City of Lies. He was in the 2018 Halloween as I think Judy Greer's husband in that movie.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he got folded up like a panini by Michael Myers in that movie. Where he got stuffed in a closet. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed watching this movie all the way through, and it was just a lot of fun. The kind of comedy of, I think, someone it relies kind of heavily on the F word and cursing and things like that, which I'm not too big of a fan of. It's not that I have sensitive ears or anything. It's like that. I just think, just to get a little bit more creative in the terms of language just kind of used in the movie kind of would have been nice a little bit, because it's a lot of F words, F bombs kind of going around. But otherwise, other than that, I was like, man, this is really, really enjoyable to watch. It kind of has some kind of cliche elements with the police, as far as like you have the sergeant who's played by Chad L. Coleman. He's kind of the angry black, sergeant character. People know Chad L. Coleman. He was in The Walking Dead. He had a role there in The Walking Dead. He was also the guy screaming on the subway. I remember that from way back with Chad L. Coleman. He got caught on camera screaming. He said, "My name is Chad L. Coleman. I'm an actor. I'm on The Walking Dead." I remember and he was just like screaming this on the subway. And everybody was like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" But he, you kind of have kind of those elements in this movie there with him. But, even with kind of the cliche elements, I still think it is still very, very enjoyable to watch. And it kind of, I think that those kind of elements are a part of the movie in a way of like being this kind of movie, kind of throwback a little bit to like the 70s, 80s type of style. Of movies that you kind of see, like something like Assault on Precinct 13 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoyed this a lot, and I had a great time watching it. It's probably one of the kind of the most fun I've had seeing a movie in a theater, or just in general this year. It might be even my top 10, and depending on how everything shakes out this year. But yeah, very good movie, very good performances, great action in it. For me, I would give it a strong 8, 8 or light 9 out of 10 for me. Very, very good. All right. So, moving on from Copshop, we're going to be discussing What If, the 2 episodes. So we didn't get to the Killmonger episode last time, and we're also going to be discussing the Thor episode. So first, we're going to be discussing just the Killmonger episode. Because we didn't get a chance to give our thoughts on that. So the setup for the Killmonger episode was all about Killmonger saving Tony Stark. So it flashes to the events of like we see in like the 2008 Iron Man, where he's on the convoy and he's with kind of on a convoy there, and then it gets attacked. So instead of him being kidnapped, he gets saved by Killmonger. And then because Killmonger saves Tony Stark is like, "Oh, well, you saved my life," and shows him off to the world. It's like, "Hey, this is the guy." And then Killmonger, he's the one that uncovered the plot from Obadiah Stane, that he was the one that was, orchestrating everything to try to get Tony kidnapped and killed and everything like that. And so that's when Tony kind of even, makes him, trust in him more, makes him more of a friend. And that's when you see Killmonger really, you start to see his plan really develop, and him doing a lot of nefarious shit. What did you guys think about this episode with Killmonger?
I think just indicative of What If, you're allowed to play around in the sandbox, characters that you didn't get to spend as much time with, whether it be because the character was only in one movie. You get to see more of that individual. I thought they did a great job of fleshing out Killmonger and showcasing that, for as kind of a good point as he had in Black Panther, the guy is still a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. I mean, he's incredibly manipulative. A good. I mean, I was kind of impressed by the way he was just going around playing all these different pieces, moving everything. I was highly.
It was like that. he was like Mac. I play both sides so that I always come out on top.
Yeah, pretty much. Dusk. What did you think?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't see these episodes.
Oh, okay, you didn't see the episode.
God damn it!
Yeah, you didn't see.
That's
Okay,
okay.
yeah, that's all right. Yeah, so yeah, I was really impressed with him and like what he was able to do and him playing all these different sides and manipulating all these different people. Um, One kind of thing about this episode, it being only 30 minutes, is to me just how people were just ready to believe him already, and kind of like he was able to work his himself into situations like with Wakanda, especially. It's like I don't know, why would you trust him that quickly, even though he does kind of establish that, but it's like still, you know what I mean, you don't know about that for sure
Yeah,
yet.
especially this country that has been so isolated for so many years, and this dude shows up with a dead body of a guy who like stole vibranium, and now, yeah, we cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know about that kind of part, but, and it also establishes, in canon that Killmonger likes anime, establishes that pretty nice. So there you go, it includes that in there, so it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it does establish like Killmonger is somebody who is that psychotic. You know what I mean? Like he's able to just how far he'll go and the plans he'll be able to do. I mean, you almost have to admire the dedication almost. You know what I mean? The hard work that goes into. I mean, what he was willing to do almost, even if it's as crazy as it is. Yeah, I mean, were there any kind of big flaws for you in the episode at all?
For me, kind of like a similar thing. Some of the voice acting, especially for me, some of the lines from Angela Bassett, it felt like she was just in a room. Didn't feel all that natural whenever they were in that big battle in Wakanda. And besides that, just kind of the same critique I've had with most of these episodes, in that it's all a little too short. I feel like this should be like an hour, or at least a network hour of like 44 minutes.
Yeah. And also like the ending of it, I will say it leads you to believe that they're gonna maybe continue on with this story. They've talked about like a lot of these stories that they will see a follow up on, so it leads you to believe that they're maybe going to continue on with this kind of plan. But you don't know that exactly for sure because it's not one. It's an anthology series with every episode being something different. But you do see like eventually a lot of these story elements are going to combine because you see like Thor with evil Doctor Strange. We haven't seen that yet in these episodes.
Mhm.
So you eventually you'll see kind of a continuation of that. And the whole kind of battle of Wakanda there that you see in it, I also thought that was a little much because the fact that this country, like they're willing to just go and wage war, all of a sudden, it's kind of just like, okay, I don't know. I mean, that seemed all of a sudden, especially like people don't even know, Wakanda as this nation. The outside world thinks it's just this small little nation with a little, just a farm and little couple goats and stuff like that. You see that kind of how what the outside world thinks of Wakanda when you see it in the Black Panther movie when they're talking about it in that during a news report. So it's interesting that all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're gonna wage a whole out war with this country, and it's like, okay, that seemed a little very abrupt and everything like that. But yeah, I still thought it was a solid episode. Might be in my top three of these episodes so far. It depends. I think to me the T'Challa episode is still number one. I think number two is maybe the evil Doctor Strange episode, and then maybe it's this one. Yeah. What about you? Are you feeling very like strong about this episode?
I'm feeling kind of mid on this. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed revisiting this character of Killmonger. He's still one of the best villains in the MCU, and I appreciate that we got to spend more time with him. Kind of funny thing about this show is they really keep bringing back Tony Stark just to kill him over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, this is like what the third time he's died.
It's Yeah, it's like the third or fourth time they've just murdered the shit out of Tony Stark, which is just continues to be funny. I agree with you. I think T'Challa's episode was the best. After that, I think Strange and then Zombies, and then every other episode is kind of on the same tier for me. I enjoyed it, but I think it's all a little too short.
Yeah. And then in that Battle of Wakanda scene, so was that Angela Bassett that was leading the Dora Milaje or the army? Or
Yeah, Angela Bassett was the leader of the Dora Milaje, which is something that thankfully you can do more of in animation because let's face it, Angela Bassett is like in her 60s. I don't think she could do a role as physical as this anymore.
well, I don't know, man. Angela Bassett pretty fit, man. I don't know. Angela Bassett, you see her arms, man. She's Angela Bassett looking good, man.
There's a difference between looking fit and there's a difference between looking fit and dealing with all the stuff that you would need to do for the stunts in a Marvel film. Those fucking like stunt harnesses hurt, man.
True, very true. But yeah, I was like, yeah, that's pretty badass. You see her out there leading the charge, got her big headdress on and everything like that. I was like, whoa, shit, look at her. Okay. But yeah, that was kind of something. So, yeah, I think yeah, it's a pretty good episode. I think I liked it a lot. I think the ending was a little abrupt. I will say, yeah, a little kind of just cuts off. But maybe they'll follow. I mean, it leads you to believe they'll follow up with it later on. All right, so we're gonna move on into discussing the Thor episode. It's what if Thor was an only child here. So this is discussing like what if Thor, like Odin's son, Odin, I'm sorry, never adopted Loki, and he lived with his own people, and Thor just grew up, I guess, with Loki not there, nobody to kind of compare himself to and try to be better than. He just completely leaned into the whole frat boy lifestyle.
Loki was fucking with Thor as a kid. It was like pretending to be a snake and then stabbing him. He kept Thor on his guard.
Yeah.
And it kept him from like being this stupid.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in the first movie, it's like, what I mean? It's like, well, he's arrogant and all these other things. Like in the episode, they try to explain like without Loki, then Thor would have ended up like this. But he already kind of was like that in the first Thor movie, and then it took him to lose his powers and get thrown to Earth, where that's when he really transformed. So I didn't know about the whole thing of him not being an only child really having that much of an impact on him, because I was like, he was kind of like that already. You know what I mean? So I didn't really kind of get that all that much. But this is kind of like, so Thor. So it's this episode is all what if Marvel met Project X. If you ever done that movie Project X, it was that party movie that they had. It was back when like the found footage thing was like a huge craze. Like everybody like after Chronicle. Everybody wanted to do a whole big. Well, actually, after now I should say after Chronicle.
No,
after
it was after Paranormal Activity, and I think Project X and Chronicle came out in the same year. That's when studios were experimenting with genre with found footage, and that was like kind of the first comedy that was done with it.
Yeah, so it was kind of like after you had like the huge success of things like Paranormal Activity and things like Cloverfield, that was kind of like the big new craze of like found footage. We want to do the found footage movies, and Project X was kind of one of them, where it was kind of like this party kind of thing and everything. So this is like Marvel meets Project X, where Thor, he comes to Earth, because Odin, he's doing the Odin sleep, and then his mother Frigga is off. She's having a whole girls' day, so she's off doing that, and because of that, he's just like, okay, I'm gonna go to Earth. I'm gonna have this huge party, and I'm just gonna, have fun down there. And that's what it proceeds to be. The whole episode is basically just, pretty much him having this huge party on Earth. You have all the, galactic characters. So you have majority of all the Guardians of the Galaxy except for Peter Quill. You don't even see like T'Challa Star-Lord there. You just see you see Drax, you see Valkyrie, you see Gamora is there. I'm not Gamora. Nebula is there. You also see characters like Korg. You also see characters like the Grand Master Jeff Goldblum. He's there. You see a lot of those characters there showing up, and and then even you see Loki, who is because he stayed with his own people. He became this giant frost giant. And things like that. And he shows up. So, yeah, I mean, the episode is probably the most fun. I mean, I think this or the T'Challa episode is probably the most fun they've had. doing a show and really just kind of having fun with a lot of the characters and playground with them, and kind of enjoying things animation wise, and with them kind of doing the whole thing where Thor shows up kind of on Earth, and kind of nobody else is kind of really there other than to check him, other than Captain Marvel, and that's when kind of Captain Marvel makes an appearance there. So I think there was the whole thing about how when he was partying on the other planet, how he kind of destroyed the other planet because of his parties and things like that. And and then you also have the returning kind of Thor characters of Natalie Portman and of who's Jane Foster, and you have Kat Dennings, who's back as well. You don't have Peter Skarsgård. Is his name correct? Right? Who's the other?
That was Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan.
You don't have Eric Selvig.
Yeah, you don't have him. He's the only person that's kind of missing there out of that group. But they're the one that's tracking this big event that's going to come to Earth and possibly destroy the planet. And they kind of
Yeah,
go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I think this is probably one of the more just pure fun episodes. Because especially like the last 3 or 4, they've all been kind of like world-ending events, stuff that's like really dark, really dour and serious. And this is the one where we just have fun with these characters, and we get to see a different side to some of these people. Like, and really for Loki, Odin adopting him was kind of the worst thing to happen, because you see him in the episode and he's just a cool dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's enjoying his life. You know what I mean? He found he doesn't have to have this complex about growing up to Thor being the adopted son and everything like that. He can just enjoy
Odin,
it.
Exhibit fucking 99 in why Odin is a terrible father.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool, and the whole thing of like Shield. They have the acting director is Maria Hill, because Korg knocked the shit out of Nick Fury. He just sent him launching
accidentally.
So now Maria Hill is the acting director there, and she employs Captain Marvel to kind of come and stop Thor and have this powerful force. And the fight between Captain Marvel and Thor, I thought was pretty good. I thought that was. What did you think about the fight between the two?
Yeah, that fight, it's really good, and realistically, it's kind of like the most that Captain Marvel has gotten to interact with the main cast of the MCU, and it's kind of a shame that Brie Larson didn't come back to do the voice for her.
Who did the voice for Captain Marvel here?
It was a actress named Alexandra Daniels. She's a television actress. She's done stuff like Salem. I think that's a CW show. Oh, it's on WGN.
Okay. Yeah. They do.
I guess Brie Larson's too expensive for What If.
Yeah. I don't know. The choices of who they bring back and don't bring back is weird, because like Tom Holland.
I think it's like depends on like who has the bigger price tag. Because RDJ he's like $100 million minimum, and I don't know, maybe Tom Holland got a really good deal.
Maybe, but they do get people who do voice these characters who do sound very similar to the actors, or at least try to make themselves sound similar. But yeah, so she shows up and she gets, basically she's the Karen, she's the party pooper that comes and tries to shut, basically, shuts things down, tries to come up. But she is talking, very aggressively, you know what I mean? Calling him pal, you know what I mean? When you call somebody like buddy, guy, pal, it's like, okay, this conversation
okay, it's on.
Yeah, this is already going to take a turn. But Thor, he's so goofy, he doesn't even know when anybody's even, you know what I mean? He can't even take stuff serious because he's so goofy. And even when they're having a fight, he's just kind of like, you know what I mean? He's having a good time.
In defense, this party, at least from what we can tell, has gone on for like several weeks and has like traveled to different continents. They even like stopped to get Chinese food, which was hilarious to me. At least Thor is a good party host. He brought the whole party with him to get Chinese.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fun guy to party with, and like I was saying before, he brought all the galactic characters that you see, like Grandmaster. He's like, release the foam. He's the DJ. I love that moment. I thought that was pretty cool. and yeah, everybody.
Yeah,
Had a good
it was
time.
weird. It was weird seeing Jeff Goldblum voice act and actually give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, when is the last time Jeff Goldblum has voice acted?
Boss Baby 2.
Oh, Boss Baby 2. Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
was like that scene at the very end that I'm sure you've all seen online where it's like they're doing like the Mentos and Diet Soda and he's like, oh, no, oh, no, no,
Oh, wow.
with that
Okay.
much emotion.
Yeah, geez. But he's good here as the Grandmaster. Making that return. I thought that was pretty nice. And I think that the kind of like you said, we haven't really seen Captain Marvel interact all that much with the kind of the other Avengers, besides for little moments here and there. She's usually leaving and dipping, kind of to do her own thing in space and everything like that. And he also, he told us something that you should never say. He said, why don't you just smile more? He's like, oh, she don't like to hear that. You shouldn't say that. She does not like to hear that. That's a bad move there. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun with it. It is one of the more lighter kind of episodes they've done up until the ending. Well, even the watcher, even the watcher was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
even the Watcher is like, wait, what?
yeah." He was like,
Oh,
"Oh, wait, what the
shit.
fuck?" Like, "Oh, wait, this one in my script. Holy
Yeah,
shit, hold on."
and yeah, in the very end, it's like Ultron coming through, and he's got all 6 Infinity Stones, and he's got Vision's body.
Yeah, so that is that again. It depends on kind of what they do. Like as far as combining kind of these different worlds, we're going to see Captain Carter again. We're going to see
Mm-hmm.
maybe T'Challa Starlight. Like we're going to see the leader, like the heroes of kind of those different universes, maybe combined, and then kind of try to stop Ultron or stop the threat or something like that, which would be interesting. Actually, I think this one is maybe my second favorite one. Actually, like I
Hmm.
actually maybe I'll knock the evil Doctor Strange episode down. I think maybe this one's my fun. I think this is maybe my because I did have a lot of fun watching this one and then just with all the other different characters and um, kind of just with the having Thor be as stupid as he is always kind of fun to see and then him with Jane Foster is fun and did Natalie Portman come back to return to voice Jane Foster?
She did. Yeah, she voiced Jane Foster in this.
Oh, so she was. I guess they were like, okay, I guess since you're gonna be in Thor 4 anyway, come back, do the voice for Jane Foster. Have more inspiration to do that. So, because I know didn't she talk shit about Marvel a little bit, Thor movies a little bit after she left.
Yeah, a little bit about the behind the scenes production of Thor: The Dark World, but you got to remember that was at a time when the Marvel Creative Committee was like really deep into trying to deep into pretty much everything that had to go through them, which even Kevin Feige spoke about that. Um, Even Kevin Feige spoke about how frustrating it was to try and get a movie made during that time.
Okay.
Which thankfully with after Winter Soldier came out and kind of the disaster, well, quote unquote disaster of Age of Ultron, that creative committee went away. And it's why there's like a stark difference in the level of quality between like Phase 3 Marvel and Phase 2 Marvel.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was kind of good. What were you kind of overall thoughts about the episode as far as ranking it wise amongst the other ones?
Ranking wise, I think it's probably one of the more fun episodes. I definitely appreciated some of the heavier themes that were touched on in stuff like the Strange episode or even the Zombies episode. But I'd have to see to rewatch all the episodes like back to back in order to give like a definitive ranking.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Javon Good in the chat, he says like we need a vulture. What if? I would actually like to see that. Maybe Michael Keaton come back as the vulture. That'd be a good one, for sure.
Yeah. What if's already announced for a second season. At least I see a season 2 up on IMDb that has no information filled out. So maybe they'll consider adding more characters to this. Yeah, just get Michael Keaton in a booth for a couple hours and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll do it. Yeah, see what they do for second season. How many episodes are there going to be of this first season?
It's 9 episodes.
9 episodes. Okay, so we got 2 more episodes left. All right.
Yeah, two more. It looks like we're gonna get Gamora's episode next, and then the finale.
Okay. All right. That'd be pretty good. All right. We're going to be heading out of here. Dusk, where are you as far as watching the What If episodes? What's the last episode you watched?
I mean, I just didn't watch these two.
Okay. So you just, okay.
I watched everything else.
Okay. All right. So you're just on episodes, so 5 right now. And then, so you just need
Yeah.
to see 6 and 7. Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So really no news to discuss. I know it was the whole thing. People talked about Chris Pratt being Mario, so they announced like a Mario movie that's coming, animated, everything like that. So,
By Universal.
By Illumination.
Oh, okay, well.
Fuckers that cursed us with the goddamn minions.
Well, they'll make a lot of money. That's what Mario does. He makes a lot of money.
Yeah. You also have Anna Taylor-Joy, who's going to voice Peach. You have Seth Rogen, who's going to voice Donkey Kong. You have King and Michael Key, who's going to be in this.
All right, I'm not interested already. I don't care. No, I don't care about Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen.
I like Seth Rogen, but the second you have Key without Peel, I don't care.
You have Charlie Day. He's going to be Luigi. So he's going to be that. So okay. So
should have gotten Rob McElhenney for Mario if you're going to bring Charlie Day. Just have the entire It's Always Sunny cast do the voices.
That'd be something, yeah. That'd be something if they did something like that.
More interesting than Chris Pratt and whatever his subplot of finding out Bowser is gay, so he's gonna send him to conversion camp.
It's interesting that they chose these people because, like, Chris Pratt. I mean, I know he voiced in the Lego Movie.
Here, I will tell you why Illumination chose these people. Because they are recognizable names that you can put on a poster.
Yeah, I mean that's very true. I mean they are very recognizable names, big names. Chris Pratt, obviously Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, things like that. I'd be interested to see what he does for Mario, like how he does the voice. Like that's the only reason I am kind of curious about it. Like how does he do the voice for it? I don't really know all that much about Mario lore, all that much. I have no attachment to it. So I know these characters, obviously. I mean, they're one of the most famous characters in all of gaming. What do you guys think about the casting in general? Okay. Dusk, what about you?
I am not as upset as Nick is, but I do think, unfortunately, this is not going to be a very well produced, fairly magical Nintendo-esque product where someone can watch this and go, "Oh, that was really cool. This is where Mario and Luigi kind of started things. These are these characters I've known for all these time." This is just someone's interpretation of these characters using famous celebrities of likenesses of characters I know. It'll either be mediocre at best, or
it's Illumination.
At worst.
So it's Illumination. So you can take that at best or at worst out of that sentence.
Pretty much, it's gonna be mediocre no matter what. Maybe hope beyond hope. We'll give him some decent dialogue, but I'm not expecting much. I honestly just don't. It almost would have just been better if there was no voice cast.
Or just have the cast from the video games voices.
Yeah,
or just have the video game voices. Just the people who did the original voices for these characters. Just let them be. Let these characters be these characters. But I don't know. I haven't seen. I always leave it up to what I'll see in the trailers coming up.
Yeah.
But I don't have high hopes.
I just really want to see what Chris Pratt does with Mario. I'm fascinated. I'm waiting on the edge of my seat, waiting to see how he does the voice. That's the only thing that's keeping me there. But Anna Therese says that she thinks they think it's an interesting cast. So hey, I appreciate the optimism there. They think it's pretty interesting. So they're excited. They seem to be pretty digging it there. So I got something there. But all right, we're gonna be heading out here, people. Nick, where can people find you?
Find me Twitter, Instagram at Night and Day Nick.
All right, and Dusk, he can, if you want to get in contact with him, you can get in contact through the Afternoon socials, afternoon emails, things like that. So we have a show coming up tomorrow. We're going to be streaming again, streaming 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tomorrow we're going to be doing an interview with a woman named Deja Leonard. She's an artist. She has a book out right now that you can get. Let me pull up what the book is really quick. So we're going to be interviewing her. She's a author of a children's book. Very good for her. So we're going to be doing another interview there. We had a good time interviewing Anthony Stokes that came on before. Her book, Deja Leonard's book, is 4 Years an Island Girl. So she has that book, a reflective art book on the Dewford Arc. So very, very nice. We're going to be talking to her. Let me put up some of her book here. Very, very nice art. Very cool. So we're going to be talking more in depth about the book and her inspirations and things like that tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're also going to be doing reviews for TV shows. We did a lot of movies today. We're going to be doing mostly TV shows tomorrow. We're going to be discussing Rick and Morty Season 5. That ended. I'm going to be reviewing that. I'm going to be reviewing Doom Patrol Season 2 because Season 3 dropped this past Thursday. So they had a premiere for Season 3. So we're going to be discussing Season 2. Also, we're going to be doing Star Wars Visions, the anime Star Wars. We're going to be discussing that. That dropped into us, so we're going to be talking about that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that all tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time there. No watch party tomorrow. No watch party. Forgot to put a poll up there, but yeah, no watch party tomorrow. So if you want to check us out on the socials, we are on TikTok, Afternoon Tune. Check us out there. Put up clips, short little clips there of our reviews and fun moments from the show. We are also on Instagram at the Afternoon Tune. There you can check out photos, hear announcements for the streams. Check out also clips is there. You can see us on Instagram. We're also on Facebook at the Afternoon Tune as well. You can check us out. We have a page there. Where you can like, comment, all that good stuff. You can also send us emails at theafternoontune@gmail.com if you have any questions and comments. We are also, of course, on YouTube at youtube.com. The Afternoon Tune. You can check us out there. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff there. We're also on wherever you are listening to podcasts, with Spotify, Apple Podcast, Anchor, things like that. Make sure on Apple Podcast, if you like us so much, make sure to leave a review, 5 stars. Check us out. That helps boost up the podcast a lot. Also, hey, of course, we're streaming on Twitch right now, right? So if you want to check us out there, twitch.tv/The Afternoon Tune, you can check us out there. Hey, it's still September, still got time to sub, still got time to do that there now that subscriptions are 20% off. Still got time, still in the month of September. So that's pretty cool. Check us out there as well. And hey, we had a great show, had a great time talking about the movies, talked about What If. Talked about that. So, to all you good people out there, don't forget to always stay tuned.
Stay tuned.